If you are an Empire listener, hopefully you've played around on chain. And if you have done that, you know that transferring assets across different chains is a pain, to put it nicely. That is why we are incredibly excited to have the Wormhole Foundation as a partner of the Empire podcast, stewards of the Wormhole protocol, supporting over 30 different blockchains and 6 different runtimes. Stay tuned later in the show. We have a cool thing that you can claim, which is a Wormhole NFT just for Empire listeners. This episode is brought to you by Monda Ad, which has not only the highest performance EVM L1 architecture ever built, but also the wildest and craziest community in crypto. Monda Ad's internal DevNet is live and public testnet comes out soon. So make sure you join the Monda Ad community today at discord.gg/Monad, MONAD, Monad. This episode is brought to you by Shardeum, an EVM-based smart contract platform with state sharding and auto scaling. Shardeum is designed to achieve horizontal scaling to ensure sustainably low transaction fees for you, the end user. You'll learn more about Shardeum and auto scaling later in the show. This episode is brought to you by Supra, an Oracle provider across more than 50 different blockchains. If you are building anything in crypto, you likely need verifiable randomness and you need oracles. Well, for Empire listeners, Supra is now offering a limited deal. It is 12 months of Supra free for any Empire listener. You can go to supra.com, that's supra.com/blockworks. Limited time only. Go check it out. Thanks, Supra, for sponsoring Empire.
Welcome, everyone. Very excited for this podcast. We have Konstantin, who I'll let him give his background, which is incredibly impressive. Not only one of the founders of Lido, but he has been, as I think of people that really understand crypto, like this term crypto native, he is someone that is really deep, close to the metal as a builder, but is also a extraordinary investor. He's been early on so many trends. And so it's a great pleasure to have him on. I think at a moment where there's just so much going on in crypto, we're coming out of what seems to be a start of a bull market. There's been incredible success in kind of the staking market. Now there's restaking. So that is something that we'd love to cover here. And I had the privilege of knowing Konstantin because he was really kicking my ass when I was running validators at P2P. You know, I always thought that they were the smartest guys in the room. They really understood networks extremely well. And proof of that was really they just got like they were one of the winners, I think, of Game of Stakes, Cosmos, like incentivized testnet, and so when he was building Lido, for me it was a no-brainer as people that would really understand how to build and set up Ethereum for this transition to proof of stake. And so Konstantin, welcome to the show. Really excited to have you on and make it a lively discussion.
Hi, Santiago. Hi, Anna.
So why don't we start with we just generally we try to skip intros because they're just kind of people can go look you up, but give us a quick summary of your journey in crypto and kind of where you are now.
Yeah, I will try to be short. Like in general, I joined crypto in 2014. Like I first time heard about Bitcoin in 2011. But when I heard about that, because my friend, like he said, let's buy some like video cards, like GPUs, like and start mining. Like I said him, like that I don't want to do it. Why? Because it is a Ponzi scheme. Like that's how I feel about the blockchain. I didn't get anything. Like I tried to read white paper, but I didn't understand the benefits. And then in 2014, like when I had more time, I had already a business, like that worked pretty well. I started, back then, like I want to move in another country, like because I was born in Russia and Russia economy, like the trend was going down always, like, and for me, like I understand that I want to work in a space that is not connected with any country, like, and doesn't have a country risk. And blockchain was a place that I choose, like, and with my friend Dima Stradupsov, like I started to to make research in blockchain, like, and so I joined Cyber Fund. And as a result, like of our research in 2014, we did a report about blockchain assets. It was one of the first report about new asset class, where we took all the space. So we take all their data from CoinMarketCap, like all their projects that had public valuation with more than $100,000. It only was 100 of them, and analyze them, and what we found out that it was some other projects like Bitcoin. First of all, it was a lot of Bitcoin forks, but it was also some applications that were built on top of the blockchains. It was some new blockchains with a new consensus algorithm, like how it achieved security. For example, it was some first proof of stake experiments. And in general, we decided, first of all, we had a thesis that this market, because of some open source nature, open markets, and so on, that it will grow faster than anything else, and I started to dedicate full time, to it as a Cyber Fund co-founder. And in 2016, 2017, I ran a fund. It did more than 7,000 percentage, but we closed it. And in 2000, and give all the money to our investors, LPs. And in 2018, I also closed Cyber Fund, and we distributed, all. Because we invested in Ethereum ICO, we invested in Cosmos, we invested in Definity, in Polkadot, in all these early stage projects. So we generated some profit for us and distributed between the founders. In 2018, I started like P2P.org. P2P.org is a staking company. And why? Because I already got some amount of money to retire, but for me, I wanted to, first of all, keep this market decentralized and censorship resistant. That's why I started P2P, because somebody need to run validators, somebody need to run these nodes. And I understood that Ethereum will go into proof of stake, and in general, proof of stake will be big. And to understand blockchains better, to keep them decentralized and censorship resistant, I started P2P.org as a solo founder. And in 2020, Vasily joined the team. In general, we did later spin-off and contributed to Lido DAO, and that is now pretty successful. Back then, we also I co-founded NIL Foundation that is now working on ZK sharding and on a scaling of Ethereum, and and so in the same time, days and nights, I continue to invest my capital. So I invested in Solana back then. We invested in Celestia, Lazy Ledger, Seed Stage. We also invested in Eigenlayer and in hundreds of other projects. And now, where I'm now, so I relaunched Cyber Fund. In general, Cyber Fund is it's first of all investment company. It doesn't have any external capital, only so we don't have any external capital. So I allocated my equities that I have, for example, P2P.org. It is some Lido tokens. It is some it's NIL equity, and other equities in it. I'm not going to have dividends from it, but in general, it's a mission-driven organization that going to reinvest capital, to achieve its mission. And the mission that we agreed together is to accelerate the economy, because we believe in acceleration, and we believe that it is a new economy coming. We call it cybernetic economy, and in general, we want to accelerate the cybernetic economy. But during acceleration, we understand that it is a lot of risk. And our goal is to accelerate economy in a healthy way. And for example, I just want to give you a short example here. What we did in 2014, we wrote a first report and we call it Cybernetic Economy Report. So this idea is from the beginning, and when we wrote this report, we said that blockchain is only part of this economy, new economy. We look on blockchains like artificial intelligent networks, we understand that it will be a lot of other piece of technology stacks that bring to us more efficient and more healthy for humanity economy. And the blockchain is just a foundation layer. And from 2014 to 2023, we did a lot of work in Ethereum by investing. For example, we invested in Ethereum ICO. Then we participated and contributed to Lido to keep it decentralized and censorship resistant. And we contribute a lot to make it healthy for humanity. In general, we want to do the same in the blockchain space by investing our capital, and also like in other areas, for example, in AI, robotics, maybe IoT, and other part of future cybernetic economy.
Awesome. Konstantin, I think there's a lot of areas I want to get your take on. The first is staking, right? Because you guys have a really unique background as investors. You are early backers of Ethereum, Cosmos, Polkadot, Solana, Celestia, Anoma, Eigenlayer, right? All these great things. You're also builders, right? P2P, Lido, Nil. So you have a really interesting view on the space. The first place maybe we can talk about is staking. So Lido has done phenomenally well, I'd say. I think the current market share is somewhere around 35 to 40%. And I think a lot of people in the industry kind of freak out a little bit about that market share, right? But if you actually, I saw one of your tweets about, look, if you extend this timeline out long enough, a lot of maybe Lido isn't the one to worry about. It's actually Coinbase or one of the centralized exchanges, as all of their ETH becomes, right, staked ETH. That market share could eventually cross 50%. So maybe just give us your kind of overview of like how you're looking at the staking market today, and then like tie in together this idea about market share.
Yeah, thank you for the question. In general, it's as I understand, as I remember, Lido market share is about 32%, not 35.
32.
But the question is, first of all, as I told you, when I start to work on P2P.org, my why I started this company was fully private, because I really believe that somebody need to run the validation nodes, and in general it's really hard, you should have a pretty lot of expertise to run it safe, to not get slashing, and I also understood that it will be a lot of, how to say, large companies, especially when ETF will come and so on, and it will be a lot of acquisition of staking companies. It will be a lot of or stakes that will run by large institutional companies. And if, for example, one day we will come where it will be all run by states, it will be like a bad story for blockchains, and the price and also like the blockchain's value will go into zero. Why? Because these networks stop to be censorship resistant, they can reward state and so on, and it's just database, it's not a blockchain anymore. And that's why I start to run P2P.org validation nodes to, first of all, understand the blockchains better, and second, to keep them decentralized and censorship resistant. And after, when we work on Cosmos and Polkadot, and it was the next phase for the company and also for the market, Ethereum staking launch. Of course, we follow it from day one. We really understood that, first of all, we had a lot of competitors in validation markets, but all these competitors are our friends. In general, we have friends with Chorus. It was at Certus guys that were later acquired by Jam. It was some other players like staking facilities, Stakefish, many others like Figment, Block Diamond. In general, we compete with each other for market share, but we, in the same time, we were friends. And our initial idea, we came to these guys and said, guys, let's what are your strategy on Ethereum? And all of them, 50% of them didn't want to even to join validation node in Ethereum. Why? Because they didn't know how to attract stake in Ethereum, and it's good when your network has, how to say, a lot of solo stakers, and they are really important, it's really great when you have thousands of different validators in the market. But in reality, it's also important that it should be professional players who really understand how to run a network to make it stable, and if, for example, I knew everyone and 50 or 60% didn't want to launch in Ethereum, it's bad for Ethereum. Why? Because it will be 10 professional validators, 5 big exchanges, and there are some tail of solo stakers, and network will be really centralized. Why? Because first of all, for Coinbase back then, for Binance, it was really easy to sell staking to their clients. Like why? Because they already have it. They have a communication channel. The acquisition price is cheap. The LTV of these users is high, and they can even like give it for free. Why? Because you will have a good retention to the exchange. And so all the incentives was around centralization. And when we come to these validators, we say, let's launch Lido together, like in general. And this was initial idea, like we even have this chat still now. But by some reason, like nobody want to like build together, like, and that's why like we start to work on it like personally, like, and then engage them on a later stage, like. And but the main objective, and it's written in the mission of Lido, why Lido will launch, is to keep Ethereum decentralized and censorship resistant. And what we are also see that liquid staking will be successful, and it will be a big adoption. The same you can look on USDT and USDC market. But the issue with USDC and USDT market is that the more secure solution is, like a custodial solution. Why? Because you can program. I mean, you can build a synthetic stablecoin, but if you want to build stablecoin backed by real dollars with low risk, it's look like, like it's maybe even more safe what USDT and USDC built, like because smart contract risk is high. But when you build, like liquid staking, it can be, why liquid staking is everything? Because you can show all the, how to say, like all what blockchain can do. You can really build programmable smart contracts that operate all this, like, all this protocol. And I think liquid staking is really one of the great examples of technology regulation where you regulate rules. It's a great example of the DAOs. It's great examples what blockchain give you, like transparency, open participation. And what Lido did is, like to build this MVP product that first of all try to get share of the market, like, and also like try to fight with exchanges, like, and build more decentralized solution where it will be not only Binance and like Kraken back then, and also like Coinbase that could have like 60% of staking, but Lido tried to give the same simple solution, like, but in more secure way.
Is the end game for Ethereum to have, do you think 100% of ETH will eventually be staked?
This is a really like difficult question, like, and in general, I really agree with some like researchers around MVI. I don't think that first of all, I don't believe that 100% ETH will be staked. We can also look on other networks that are, for example, in Cosmos network, you have 20% APR and about 60% of ETH or Cosmos atoms are staked, like, so it's not 80 or 90. And still, all the exchanges trade Atom, and I don't think that it is a competition. And the question is how much should be staked? It's a good question, like that's why when you design your protocol, you can have a target like emission, like, so for example, you target the staking ratio of 60% or 50%, or how Ethereum Foundation set about 25%, like. And for me, like, I really disagree. Not all, of course, I have a conflict of interest, like, but in case of P2P, because I am also like one of the validators, and their revenue depends from, like, emission of Ethereum too, like if you run Ethereum nodes, for example. Of course, in case of as a Lido contributor, I also can have issues here. But my position is, but I'm also like, hold a lot of ETH, and for me, like, I think the biggest value of Ethereum is decentralization and biggest differentiation. Decentralization contribute to security, like, and that's why everybody want to build. And that's why on Ethereum, that's why the cheapest liquidity in Ethereum. And if you will harm, like decentralization by trying to like target the low staking ratio, for example, Ethereum Foundation proposed, it's not they propose to make MVI in general. They don't say that they target some type of percentage. Like some of them say that, some of them said that it is a little bit different as the economy. But in general, like they want to target more that 30 million ETH should be staked. Like I think it's not a good solution. Why?
Yeah.
First of all, because Coinbase on their custody has 17 million of ETH. Like, and eventually Coinbase is a corporation, and I really love Coinbase. Like I'm not a hater of Coinbase. I think they build a great company. I mean, in general, Brian Armstrong is a great CEO. Like in general, they build a great business, and they're really positive for crypto. But they are corporations that work in some legal space. Like, and it's really a risk to Ethereum network. And also, as a corporation, they have a shareholders, and they need to maximize the profit as an agent, like in the network, and they eventually will try to stake all this 17 million ETH, like maybe they will have even more. And for them, I mean, the price to run staking is the cheapest one. Why? Because you can you can earn more, on a scale with if you will stake all the 17 million, like you can spend lower in infrastructure compare with other, for example, professional validators. One, because you can run a lot of validators on one node, like, and you can optimize your cost, and also your R&D, like is cheaper for you. You can make it more secure. And it's what I try to say, that even with MVI, they can still try to get or they will get bigger share, like of the market, and they will eventually try to stake all the ETH. And if they will, for example, if you will target 30 million, and 70 million will be staked by Coinbase one day, and also like with ETFs, because like ETFs are going to the market, and I think
Right.
one day it will be staked ETFs. I mean, why not?
Yep.
And there a lot of them are holding assets on Coinbase. Like that means that I mean, this can even amount of ETH on Coinbase can grow. Like, and this is a risk. Like if you will make a staking ratio low, like that, it may be, first of all, Coinbase will have an issue. Why? Because they have a conflict inside of their company. Like how to run, from one side they need to make more money. Like from other side, if they will stake more than 50%, they will harm the network and destroy the value of Ethereum. Like, and I think if you don't get this mass in your research, like, and you don't understand what can happen, and this is a pretty big and important, like, step for for all Ethereum community to, like, to decide what should be emission of Ethereum and what staking ratio should be, like we need, and this mistake can be so huge that will harm decentralization. And that's why, first of all, from Cyber Fund, we announced our grant program, like of $500,000 to researchers who want to make external research, not an Ethereum foundation, but external research.
I have a potentially really dumb question that I'm still going to ask anyways, which is if the amount of ETH that's staked ends up actually getting to be this huge number that we're talking about it being, there's two things that are going to happen. The yield is going to come down tremendously, I would say. So I'm curious if that's right or not. And then the second thing is as institution, you mentioned like, yeah, the ETH ETFs, like eventually one day they'll be like probably staking inside of an ETH ETF. The take rate right now on something like Lido is 10, I think it's 10%. But as institutions come into the market, they're not going to be comfortable with that, right? If it was TradFi, they would say, all right, you're 10%. You go to another staker. All right, you make me a competitive offer here. You make me a competitive offer here, and that's going to basically drive fees. That's fee compression, right? So both of those things are kind of like will have a negative impact on Lido's business, I would think, which is that, right, yield comes down and fee compression happens. I'm curious how you think about that, like as it relates to Lido's long-term business model.
I think, like in case of Lido, any staking provider, like what I'm really care is about like decentralization, like, and the question is how it can be achieved, like, And I think that decentralized setups, they have higher price, like why? Because you, for example, if you run, as I told you, by one entity, like it will be much cheaper. And like in case of and that's why I think that first of all, when you speak about ETFs and centralized solutions, like you should understand that they not only care about their returns, they also or rewards, they also care about like risk, and the risk is also high. For example, risk of counterparty, risk of custody, risk of some other piece of infrastructure. And I think that the Lido vision and the mission is, first of all, to make the most secure solution. And if it will be the most secure, and decentralization is part of that, the more decentralized it is and lower the risk, then it can be in a pretty good position, and I don't think that it will be an issue. But the question is, so, and I don't know, maybe you read the last blog post of Mike Noether, with Tarun, where they discuss, look on treasury market, bond market, and they discuss LST, LRTs, and Ethereum staking. It's a question is, you have different, return and rewards, but you have a different risk too. For example, LRTs with restaking don't just get rewards, they got a really different risk, the same is with the ETFs and so on, you have a lot of different parameters, and rewards only part of them. You need to clear on risk, reward ratio.
Maybe we can move into restaking, Konstantin. I'd be curious to get your take on just the. I think I saw one of your tweets. You said restaking represents a significant innovation. We'll need more time to fully grasp both its potential, but also the risks in the future. I'd be curious to get your take on, I guess, both of those things: the potential of restaking and the risks.
Yeah, first of all, I should disclose that Cyber Fund is a seed investor of Eigenlayer, and I think that 3RAM did a great job, to introducing this new primitive of restaking. And I see a lot of potential of it, and in the same time, it is a risk, I would look on it like an insurance, for example, because people are, for now, it's a lot of adopters of restaking, but for now, restaking is not even activated. What we have is Eigenlayer that get a lot of assets that eventually farm, or do some point or get some points, but in April or in next quarter, yes, it will be Eigen introduced, that will be a first example of restaking, and also you should look that on some other markets, we also, I think P2P participated in development of Neutron, restaking is already works. For example, Cosmos Hub, activated Neutron, and Neutron doesn't have a validator set, in general, it's run by Cosmos validator set. And in general, all the security is already, provided by Cosmos Hub. And Neutron is running a virtual machine for Cosmos Hub. So it is already some examples that in production. In general, Eigenlayer is not activated yet. And I'm looking on it that in restaking, first of all, you get rewards, but you also get a lot of, you should have a risk, because nobody ready to pay for you, for your, for example, I don't know, billions of TVL without slashing. Why? Because, it's not, they will not pay you a lot. Why? Because in general, it means that you don't have any risk. And for me, like an insurance market, I think that it's really question how to price this risk, why? Because, and we always see what's happening in insurance, especially in new markets, people are underestimate the risk because it's not clear a way how to measure it, and but the risks are happening usually, and I think that Eigenlayer are doing a lot to launch in the right way, to try to mitigate all the risk and try to do a lot of research on it and launch by stages, but still, we will see some I think some risk that will be still happened, in some networks. For example, it can be some type of flashing, it can be some type of new attacks, that we underestimate, and so on. So for me, restaking is, first of all, you can look on the market, and when you look on the market, people already stake this in some way. First of all, they use stake this in a lending, and we also can say that this is some type of utility, where people get some, assets under some type of the risk. For example, you can look on leverage staking. What leverage staking is when you deposit stake this, for example, on an hour, you lend some ETH, stake it again, and do it again and again, and you grow your staking rewards, for example, from 3% to 15. And in general, what it is, it's some type of a restaking. Why? Because you get the risk of slashing, but not slashing but liquidation. If the price of stake this will going down, you will be liquidated, but in the same time you get rewards. So you got this arbitrage of a lending price and staking, and I think this is already examples that a lot of people are using stake this in this way, where they are already do leverage staking, and it will be a lot of other examples of how people will reuse staked assets, for example, in protocols like Eigenlayer is building. And I think it will be a lot of new AWSs that will, will accept different type of assets. Some of them will accept Bitcoins, some of them will accept USDT, maybe some of them some other. And finally, we will have a large hype, so a lot of assets will come to this market, but and also it will generate a lot of tokens that maybe will later lose the price. So it will be really very speculative market. It will have a lot of risk, but and eventually, it's short term, so middle term, I think that we will be not so hyped around that. Why? Because the fees that will be generated will be not so high. If you look on all the networks, even Solana is not producing a lot of fees. And long term, restaking will generate fees, it will be some use cases that will be really profitable, that will really generate, I think, a lot of fees. And this is my vision on restaking.
Nice. What do you think the Ethereum Foundation got right over the last couple of years, Konstantin? What did they get wrong?
I think, Ethereum Foundation is improved a lot, in case of delivery, and part of that was a competition from other protocols, that. And also part of that was a strategy where it was funding of initial client teams. And in general, a lot of clients teams, they were underfunded, I remember how I met one of the team, and they told when I think Lido did a pretty big grant, about $10 million, to Protocol Guild, and we met the team, and they said us thank you for the grant that was given in 2021, in the beginning of 2021, and it was 50K grant, and they said, oh, if you didn't give us this 50K grant together with three another team, this will we will not hear, and what I try to say is that, first of all, now the teams are more funded, they are executing much better, and it's continuous development, it's a lot of discussion, a lot of good researchers, new faces like Mike Noiter and so on, and I think that first of all, 1559 change Ethereum a lot, it will build a narrative that is not played yet, I think in this bull run, 1559 will maybe help Ethereum to flip Bitcoin even, I really a big believer in such type of economy. And also that all the roadmap were designed around data availability. It is also right choice, and rollups. So I see that Ethereum Foundation, improving a lot. I still think that decision is maybe like centralized, around. I mean, it is, of course. I mean, maybe it's the most decentralized now that we have, but it's still not clear. For example, with all this MVI, it was, discussed a lot internally, then it was proposed, and how it will go, how the decision will go. I think that MVI is the most controversial proposal that Ethereum have for the long time, and it will be a good check of decentralization and decision making, how it will go. Why? Because it is a lot of opinions, and in all core devs, a lot of people has different opinions, and it's really important for Ethereum, important decision. And I think that such type of controversial proposals will make Ethereum even more strong. Why? Because immunity start to be activated, and I think that decentralization and Ethereum social layer with immunity is one of the two biggest thing around Ethereum. It's make it impossible to compete. And this is Everson.
Hey everyone, wanted to give a big shout out to today's sponsor, Wormhole Foundation, stewards of the Wormhole protocol. If you are like Santi and I and you play around on chain, you know how bad the cross-chain experience is today. Well, Wormhole has set out to solve that, powering cross-chain transfers for over 200 different multi-chain teams, including some of the best like Uniswap and Circle. So what does that mean for you, the Empire listener? This opens up a huge number of multi-chain use cases across DeFi, NFTs, governance, oracles, and more. By supporting over 30 different blockchains and 6 different runtimes, including Sui, Solana, different ETH L2s, Ethereum, and a whole bunch more, that means you have now the most powerful interoperability platform at your fingertips. If you're a developer, you'll be excited to hear that Wormhole provides an extensive suite of tools and infrastructure so that you can securely build multi-chain applications. But don't just take our word for it, obviously. Wormhole protocol leads the industry in all-time messages transferred with over 900 million cross-chain messages. 900 million, that is close to a billion, and that's a big number of messages. As a thank you, Wormhole Foundation is dropping exclusive NFTs. That's right. We got some exclusive NFTs for Empire listeners. Hit the link in the description to claim your unique Wormhole NFT today. This episode is brought to you by Monda Ad. Monda Ad's thesis is simple. The EVM is here to stay, similar to JavaScript and Web 2, but unfortunately, today's EVM lacks the high performance and the scalability that developers need to make certain applications possible. Monda Ad addresses these concerns and these bottlenecks while preserving seamless EVM composability for application developers. There's a seamless transition to Monda Ad as the Ethereum RPC API allows for really easy portability. And for developers, Monda Ad can support 10,000 real transactions per second with their unique parallel execution environment. And of course, there's full compatibility with EVM bytecode. Monda Ad's internal DevNet is live. Public testnet comes out soon. You can join Monda Ad's journey in 2 ways. 1, go follow them. They're on Twitter at Monad, MONAD_XYZ. And also join the Monda Ad Discord. It's discord.gg/Monda Ad. Big thanks to Monda Ad for sponsoring Empire. This episode is brought to you by Shardeum. Shardeum is an EVM-based, linearly scalable smart contract platform that provides low gas fees while maintaining security through dynamic state sharding. Shardeum's auto-scaling works by automatically adjusting the resources of the system or the application based on predefined rules and metrics. What this means is that when an application on Shardeum goes viral, gets big, right, the network reacts by independently adding more active validator nodes from the standby node pool to increase throughput capacity. This does 4 things. It lowers energy consumption, lowers cost, improves load management, and protects app failures. You can learn more about Shardeum or even spin up your node at shm.gg/validator. That's shm.gg/validator. Big thanks to Shardeum for sponsoring Empire. This episode is brought to you by Supra, an Oracle provider across over 50 different blockchains. Whether it's critical price levels or liquidation triggers, beat your competition to the punch with Supra. It's as good as having the first mover advantage on every price update. Supra offers fast oracles and DVRF free for 12 months at supra.com/blockworks for a limited time only. So you're gonna wanna bank on this 12-month free offer as soon as possible. And if you're just listening and you know any builders, you can earn $1,500. That's $1,500 that you can go throw into Bonk or Whiff or whatever meme coin you like by letting them know about this deal. They can get fast oracles today free for 12 months, and you get $1,500 for the referral. You can visit supra.com/blockworks to learn more. Go check them out. Tell them Santi sent you. Tell them Jason sent you. We got you back. Thanks, Supra, for sponsoring.
As someone that has spent a lot of time close to the metal, building in crypto and investing, what do you think? I'd like to just spend some time on Ethereum and the scalability roadmap. You're also playing in other ecosystems. What do you think Ethereum has gotten really right over the years? You mentioned the EIP 1559, the transition to proof of stake. And also, what do you think Ethereum hasn't gotten right? And perhaps what are the reasons why Ethereum may not live up to the potential that you're talking about in a scenario where it flips Bitcoin and perhaps another ecosystem, whether it be Solana, Sui, these next-gen blockchains, really surpass Ethereum? So let's start with, what do you think are the things Ethereum has gotten right? What are the things that Ethereum hasn't gotten right? And in what scenarios does Ethereum lose its competitive edge that it has today?
Yeah, my opinion, Ethereum did, so it's really difficult question, for me, when you look back, I think the right direction was to choose, this roll-up strategy. From one side, of course, each roll-up can compete with Ethereum, because they can run own data availability, and eventually be own L1 of Validium. From other side, Ethereum is still it's decentralized, and it's look like a root chain, and it's really secure, and the liquidity is the cheapest one there. I think that for me, it was different positioning and different vision. Ethereum had one vision, that it should so not scale, for example, like Solana. And Solana has another vision that they want to scale L1, and make a lot of composability around that, and I think that Ethereum, for me, I think that Ethereum is doing everything right, and of course we can say, it was a long transformation to proof of stake. It was like some really not some years that they couldn't execute, and deliver, new upgrades, and it was like some type of crisis, but when it's really, easy to look outside of their, development. But when you look on other companies, when you look on other blockchains, you can have ideal track, but it's impossible. You still need to build this muscle, muscle of research, muscle of development, muscle of something like some other parts, and I think in Ethereum it was now built, now Ethereum has really one of the strongest research, and one of the strongest community. It's real. Ethereum really has teams who execute well. And so for me, I think that, the current roadmap, the last one was published by Mike, is the right one. But what I would focus more is, and will try to deliver faster, is I would focus on main clients of Ethereum. It's rollups. Maybe it is some applications and so on, and try to prioritize the features for them. Because sometimes it's more about theoretic improvement, for example, and it is a lot of different logic. For example, why do we need 32 ETH stake, not 1000, and so on. So we need to do this research better. We need to have more external research. For example, this on an example of MVI so Ethereum Foundation, of course, did a lot of great work here, but it will. I don't think that they go deeper in validators economy, that they calculated what will be the validator set in current staking ratio. And in general, it would be great if it would fund more external teams, who will do research and maybe have different opinions around that, because this is a pretty, important, improvement. Also, now Ethereum Foundation in next hard fork will deliver triggerable withdrawals. I think it will make all this liquid staking, restaking much more better. Why? Because the protocols could mitigate a lot of risk if validators, for example, don't want to unstake, and their protocols can be more permissionless, and that is a pretty significant improvement. And so I think that prioritization of the features, should go from main Ethereum users. For example, if Uniswap is burning 20% of the gas, it should have more voice, in Ethereum development. If rollups, the future, it means that these rollups can have, influence on Ethereum roadmap. But I think that we eventually coming in this, to the state where Ethereum Foundation listen more, the key players on the market.
Mm-hmm. Maybe as a segue to that, as a key player, I think Lido being, and I know you don't speak on behalf of Lido, but as someone that's involved in the ecosystem, how has it gotten better or worse trying to engage with the Ethereum Foundation core developers to, make some proposals?
I think, it's pretty open. The question is that you need to really be proactive, for example, it's more about resources of each team. For example, is it a roll up or is it a large DAO, and the question is, if you are proactive, if you did a good research, if you're going to all core devs, you have voice. In general, you will be heard, and also, it can be implemented. So I think that it's a lot improved, the Ethereum development is the most open development, as I know, for example, it has a systematic goals. It's improved a lot, and everybody, and I think every party who really contribute a lot to Ethereum can participate, and this is really important.
Mm-hmm. I want to double click on restaking. I know you're an early investor in Eigenlayer. How credible or real do you think are the criticisms of, we constantly hear rehypothecation of security, this being a potentially existential threat to Ethereum if something were to go down? I also think of when people were really focused on Lido, and if something were to go wrong with Lido, there's a big stake there, smart contract bug or whatnot. But maybe help us bring more nuance to that discussion, because I don't think it's I haven't heard a very comprehensive discussion. Eigenlayer team put out a great set of frequently asked questions last month, and I think that was a good document. But I'd love if you could share your perspective as how you think of these risks, and what would be the potential kind of biggest vectors here.
Yeah. I think first of all, I really believe in the market power, and I think that market can solve a lot of issues, and the protocol design. Of course, we can, and also Eigenlayer is doing a lot of spending a lot of time to research and also understand how to launch this, or liquid staking in a safe mode. Really more careful to not get any risk. I think it's even sometimes bad. Why? Because it's better when the risk will happen on small scale. Then it will happen if you will eventually will build everything without slashing, without any risk. In general, you will generate a lot of tokens, make a lot of adoptions, and then there is a risk will happen. So for me, I think it's even maybe it should be even more open and permissionless. Where anyone can participate, but for me, again, I think first of all, look on lending markets, for example. It is a lot of assets in lending markets, and it's a lot of staked Ethereum. It's a lot of other more assets, and it was a lot of examples, even like how maker oracles works and so on, and in DeFi. I don't think that it's really large in current state, that in next couple of years, it is a large risk for Ethereum. Why? Because uh, because if it will be even 30% is unstaked by some really large like slashing, on Eigenlayer, I don't think that it's in any way harm Ethereum network. It will work as it should. What really I worry more is manipulating of Ethereum state, by restaking. For example, if somebody will try to manipulate it in a bad way, for example, bribe, validators, and they will try to do something wrong. This worry me much more. Also, I think that it can be a lot of risk for the capital. If all, that this RSS can bring, but I don't think that it is a large risk for Ethereum itself. Why? Because first of all, not all ETH will be staked in restaking. First of all, it will not generate so much fees. I think. The second is if it will be some splashing, it is some way, first of all, how to make it more secure for Ethereum layer one, for example, you can slash LRTs, or you can do some other type of slashing. And I really things that for now we are in a hype of restaking, where it's a lot of we really think have a lot of, how to say, estimation. We really believe that it will be a lot of rewards, but I don't think that. I think that it's too much hype, and really the reality will be a little bit different. That we don't get so much rewards, and general restaking will be just another market staking, or for example, lending, and so on. And
Mhm.
it will eventually need to be proved by fees that all this application will, you know, like will generate. And also, for me, it's a question in a lot of examples of restaking. Why do you need restaking and you're not launching own token, for example? It was today discussion of Vitalik, in a Twitter, and I think that I agree with Sunny, that for a lot of use cases you don't need. For some use cases, you really restaking will work really well, but for a lot of them, own token is also work well, and pretty secure, especially if it created on Ethereum layer one, and if you slash not Ethereum but you slash Polygon token, for example, what is the difference if you don't try to manipulate the proposers or validators?
Yeah, not to make this a whole segment on restaking, but would you agree on Eigenlayer in and of itself? Like, staking doesn't introduce more leverage to the system.
Mhm.
Perhaps the biggest risk is on the restaking, where there may be less competent operators that
Mhm.
may promise higher yield. And if there is a bug, if there is a hack, if there's an issue in some of these restakers, in that loop of leverage, that may be the biggest risk in this kind of like DeFi summer craziness yields. People are chasing the highest yield opportunities without appreciating the risk. Would you, the risk may be more contained because it may not be as centralized, right? Like perhaps there would be more distributed stake among these restakers. But I don't know if you would agree with that. And if so, if you've thought of like mechanisms that can mitigate the containment or the contagion effects of an event like that.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, like, I mean, if it will be like a bad operators, like that will flash some amount of fees, like will it like will I mean, will it in any way touch L1? Like will I don't think that L1 will have any issues here, but of course people can lose money. But this is a new, in general, like this is what should happen. Like if it is a risk, it means that some risk should happen. Like if it is rewards, the question you can get rewards. I mean, for what you are paying if it's zero risk. And that is, I think, the biggest question. Because, in my opinion, here that eventually we will start with zero risk, like because Eigenlayer will try to mitigate it, like in some way, and with high rewards, like because it will be a lot of protocols that will just generate tokens, like with not a lot of value, but with high, but with high price because of their market hype, like. And later, like the market start to be more like equal, like where it is a risk, like, and it is a TVL, like, and maybe even like we will underestimate the risk one day, like, and then the risk will happen, like, and then we will find the equilibrium. But what we need to understand how to price this risk. And without that experience, without the launch of these protocols, like we will don't know, like, I mean, we are don't know what, and also like, I think it's a good comparison with insurance company, like why? Because first of all, I mean, it is a policy, like that defined what is a risk, like you cover by this TOL. Second, it is a capital. And the third one, like it's slashing that should happen, like, or if it's zero slashing, maybe then the price should be low and it will not generate so much fees, like, and that is what we need to like really like find by the market. And now market don't know how to estimate it, how much to pay, like what is the slashing risk, and is it a risk for people who deposit, like is there? Yes, of course. I mean, it is a risk, and but I mean, it's like in DeFi, like if you ever like deposited in a farm, like during DeFi summer, you also got the risk of like smart contracts. But for example, some smart contracts was autonomous. For example, like they use synthetics smart contracts where the risk was low, and that's why a lot of capital use it. Like, but what they did, they just pre-mined tokens, and then we all see that. I mean, this mechanic doesn't work. Like, and the market stopped to do it in this way, and the same will happen to restaking. Like it will be a lot of tokens that will be generated, and maybe even it will be safe or like with some risk, and then like the market and the protocols will stop create, or if it is no risk, like they will stop to pay so much.
Konstantin, I'd love to maybe switch gears a little bit and get your take on. So the first time I ever heard you on a podcast was actually the Bankless podcast with Santi, and it was a Solana podcast. And I think it was Q4 2021. I'd love to get your general take on. I mean, you're about as big of an, I think, ETH bull as one can get with what you've founded, but also what you've invested in. I'd love to get your take on things like Solana, Celestia, some of these other ecosystems that are starting to get some steam.
Yeah, first of all, like I think that in general, I'm working in 2014, from 2014 in crypto, like and days and nights, like almost without weekends and vacations, and I really love it, like I really love people who is working in this space. I really love builders, like, and I really, I love Ethereum, like why? Because they built really like the social consensus, this legitimacy, like decentralization and so on. But from other side, we have other ecosystems that did a lot of innovations too. Like for example, Cosmos relaunched this restaking already. Like in some way, it is also like Solana that is like building like a different vision. Like, and what I think is important that all these people are pushing our market in just forward, like they're accelerating. For example, Solana by competition accelerated Ethereum development, and this is super great, like, and for me, well, I am really like pro acceleration. I really think that we one day will have more fair economy, like economy run by data, by that will based on blockchain, like on open data, uh, with all this AI and ML stuff, like we can be more efficient, like and more equal, like now people live in the best their time, like they have more food, they're more healthy, like it's of course worse, but it's not so many like it was before. And I think that like it's one of the best time for humanity, and it will be only better. And that's why I'm pro acceleration. And I think that when you invest, like in Cosmos, and you invested in Celestia, you invested in Solana, you are helping to test the hypothesis, like you are, and all like the ideas to really like build a better like piece of technology that will help to build you this decentralized, like not only decentralized but more this digital world, like this supercomputer one day. And I think that the market is huge, and it will be a lot of players, like I think that Ethereum is clear winner from last bull run, like, but it's really hard to compete with Ethereum. And Celestia, like Solana, Cosmos, and others did a pretty great job, like by building another vision, like we don't know which vision is right, like we can only bet by buying these tokens and selling these tokens, like, and but like, or choose, like on which side you are, like by investing in it, like, and contributing to these protocols. And for me, like I don't think that I changed my mind from 2021, like I'm still on the same page, like I really love Ethereum, like and but at the same time I'm happy what building like Tolly, like I'm happy that he didn't stop after all this stuff that happened, like I it was a really hard for him, like I'm sure it's but he really like keep building, like days and nights. And I really love it, like why? Because generally finally what we want to build is censorship resistant like machine, like for all humanity. And doesn't matter who will win, if we will keep it decentralized and censorship resistant. For me, if it will be even win another system that I didn't invest, I didn't know them, and but they will deliver these values, I will be already winner, like, and that is like my like vision.
Konstantin, I'm gonna zoom way out from some of the niche topics that or the topics that we're talking about here, and I'd love to. I read this Cybernetic post that you posted, or the cyber economy 8 years ago. I found it on your blog actually, and it was talking about kind of capitalism. There's like two systems, socialism and capitalism, and now there's this kind of new system, cyber economy. I'd love to hear that, how that thesis has developed, and if you still believe that, because that was, what was 8 years ago, 2016, right? So I'd love to hear how that thesis has developed. I'd also be curious how this thesis came out of your, like, just your time in Russia, and like how your views on crypto has been influenced by just like, I don't know, your childhood in Russia.
Yeah, thank you for a great question. I think that we have this idea in like 2014, 2015, but what I try to say always that, I mean, people are now saying a lot that AI or like ChatGPT or LLMs, they hallucinate a lot. What I can say, what I want to say is that, like people are hallucinating even more, so back then, like in 2014, 2015, we didn't know, or we couldn't imagine, like how this ecosystem will evolve, and we were just believers, who really tried to imagine, like how the smart contracts Ethereum network will evolve, what will be the future, and our like concept of cybernetic economy in general that will find equilibrium between capitalism and socialism, like where in general it will find this equilibrium. Why? Because we will have more data, why? Because we will have more efficient economy. And what we need, first of all, we need more public layer, and at the same time we need like AI and other like things that will help us to generate objective, like information. And I think that, we had this vision and we had a lot of hallucination back then. And now, we are with all this launch, like with all this, with all development of AI, with all the development in blockchains, I really see that this future is coming, we are really closer to it. And I was happy to relaunch Cyber Fund with the same vision, that we need to achieve it. In general, I really believe that capital and technology will come together, like on blockchain, and singularity will come. Maybe one day we don't have money, and what we can do, we can just build it, we can just accelerate it, we can help and make it more healthy for humanity, and that's what we are doing.
I just thought ETH was money. So in a world where there's no money, then what do we have? No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, it's funny because, we don't know, but the question, we need to achieve it, we need to achieve another level of society. And the question is how. And I think that capitalism work really well, but can be it more efficient? Yes, of course. And we are building these technologies, and there maybe like one day with singularity we will don't need to work anymore, or the society will change a lot. And I think that it's great. First of all, it's inevitable, so we can't change it. Even if I will do nothing and will retire, it will happen. But what we can do, we can just bet and try to make this world better, for example, but not by not investing in states, but by investing in Ethereum, and also try to make it happen faster. And that's what we are doing.
Yeah. I want to ask you two questions. The first one, what has surprised you the most in your crypto journey?
Yeah, what surprised me most? Good question. It was so many surprises. First of all, one of the surprises is because in 2014 I had zero experience in development, of IT products, that it's first of all so hard to build this new layer and build adoption around it. For example, Ethereum proof of stake took 6 years. When I listen now, like these guys who are building AI, and they say, oh, AGI will be in 3 years or some type of AGI. I really understand that they underestimate a lot of complexity, and it will take much more time, and I think this was a big surprise, how much time it can take. Yeah. So another surprises, I can't even, I don't have an answer here, it's in general, every day I'm or I'm reading a lot of Twitter, and as everyone, maybe now people are reading more forecaster, but and in general, I really enjoying my time in crypto, and I'm enjoying how the crypto is evolving. Of course, we are focused more on infrastructure, so we are focused on 1% of projects in crypto, but people who are working in it, they are really awesome, and I really love it, and yeah. And
That's great.
Santiago, maybe you can answer here. What surprised you more? Like, can you tell us?
Um, I think there's not a day that goes by that I don't like appreciate, but I'm in constant awe of the how crypto is fitting in the kind of the jigsaw puzzle of how the world is shaping up, both in good and bad ways. Like crypto, I think comes at the right time. Unfortunately, the world has become more centralized, has become more polarized. There's more distrust of institutions, and that has always been like I think immediately what you are drawn to when you discover something like Bitcoin. But then you layer on top like AI, and I just think that crypto, the more I think of it, the more I'm surprised of how integral crypto is to solving some of the biggest challenges that we are facing, but also the biggest opportunities of unlocking like a step function improvement in how we coordinate the fabric of society. It's really tough when you look at people and they ask you why crypto, and you say, well, because I think it's the most impactful socioeconomic transformation of our time. And they're like, seriously? Like, isn't that a casino? Isn't like is why wouldn't you say something like biotech? Why wouldn't you say something like AI? And I'm like, certainly those two areas like have a ton of importance. Why? Because they're closer to the real human experience. Unfortunately, crypto struggles because it's a bit farther removed. It's on the back end, right? And it is difficult. No one kind of says like it's difficult to like tangibly see crypto as something that really transforms the fabric of society. Whereas if you see a vaccine, it's like it's a vaccine. But I think crypto will power all of that. It will improve coordination by orders of magnitude. Therefore, money moves faster, ideas get discovered faster and get funded faster. And that has a downstream effect in biotech, in AI. And I think bringing it all together, the thing that surprised me the most is that I didn't fully appreciate the big picture. And I've said it recently and I'll say it again here is I think I'm earlier to crypto today than what I was in 2012 because now I have a better and deeper appreciation and understanding of how tangibly transformative this can be. And I'm a bit scared that it is happening all in real time. And I just thought that it would take much longer. And it probably will. But it's just fucking crazy. Like it is a privilege to be here and to be a part of it and like be living and breathing it. And, you know, that kind of
Yeah.
gets you through the bear market, kind of gets you through the moments where it's difficult too, right? To build in the open and to be in crypto sometimes, but it's incredibly rewarding too. So
Yeah, I mean that's definitely amazing, like, and I really like that's I also love to invest capital, like not only build, because you also can help some people, like to build their ideas, like for example, we just funded Metalex, like, and they're building this cybernetic organizations, cyborgs, and
yes.
I really understand that. I mean, it's impossible to change. I mean, like the world, like because I mean, legal is so old, like, and I mean, it's really like adopt innovation not so fast. From one side we are lucky, let's say, not so fast from other side, like it brings a lot of issues. And also I really when I built my project, like when I built like this new products, like I really get so much new experience, like, and I really understand that for Web2 developers, for people who are outside of crypto, to build a DAO, to build a decentralized autonomous organization is almost impossible. Why? Because you need to learn the basic stuff, like, and it's take years. You need to make a lot of mistakes. You need to really do a lot. And if you will try to, how to say, to build I mean, like some basic stuff, like as infrastructure, as a framework, like for example, these new organizations that really like designed like DAOs in the right way, that are really work with legal frameworks, like that don't generate a lot of risk for founders and so on. This infrastructure that we are building can really like long term, like bring a lot of new founders and really change our landscape a lot, like, and that's why for me, I really like try to find this groundbreaking things, like for example,
Yeah.
MetaLex, that is a big building, like from one side a legal firm, like from other side, like technology, to really launch new type of organizations and make it more simple. And eventually it will come to like as you said, like to new economy, and crypto is like one of the foundations of it, like. And when you come to AI now, it's also interesting. Why? Because when you speak with investors who invested in AI, usually they are not so technology heavy, and like a lot of infrastructure in AI, cryptography, and so on, they really have a lot of intersection with crypto. And it's really interesting
Yeah.
how, investors from crypto can be really like good investors in AI, and also like teach people, founders from AI, how they can use blockchain. Also, like, blockchain can use AI in some way, like, for example, we can have a second opinion from assistant on DAO proposals. We can have a lot of other things from AI. Like AI can have a lot of things from their like blockchains, build some incentives on tops, have like accounts for AI agents, like on top, and build open economy on it. And also like, so all of this will merge, like, and I think that we are really like, in the best place ever, like for humanity, like, and we have this really chance where technology is so fast that it's impossible to, I mean, I think that for people, for humanity, it's really impossible to run so fast. And one day it will evolve, like in singularity. And we will, I hope that this all will create a better and more fair place for more people on the planet. Especially, Yana, you asked me about, like my Russian experience. Yeah. So, I was born in Russia, and and for me, like, all this economy and like corruption, a lot of other things really like uh, push me away, like, so I moved from Russia like more than 5 years ago. And all what's happening, like, in general, from one side, it was a lot of IT companies that were grow, because nobody touched them, like in Russia. And it was a lot of clever people, and it is a lot of clever people there. From other side, like all this all this bureaucracy, like all these politics guys, like the trend was going down always, like, they it was and it's really bring me to where I want to build business outside of Russia. Why? Because like, I really understand that it's impossible, and also like outside of any country, so global, just open a computer and work, like in a global space. And I think that crypto make it happen, like, because I am a guy from Kaliningrad, a small city that is between Lithuania and Poland, like, invested in Ethereum, I saw, like, and like many other projects by bitcoins, like, and that was it is awesome, like, it's destroyed like Silicon Valley, like funds that like only has this opportunity to invest and give it to everyone. And I think that maybe like new ICO platform is not so bad idea, like, because we really need to find a way how to fund new talents and give opportunity to everyone. And now, like, it is a war in Russia that started by Russia, and it's really like, the worst time, like, and I don't have any like words, like I don't know, will I ever back to this country, like, why? Because it's not clear how, the trend can be changed, like, it's not clear how, it's a lot of propaganda. People are listening it, like they had hard opinion, and I don't see any good way
Let me
how this
tell you
will
about
change.
how in the
Yeah.
15th century, Tsarist Russia and the roots of Ukraine. I'm kidding. That's how the interview with Putin started with Carson Tucker. But no, it's really. I mean, I think It's very exciting and refreshing to hear your takes as both a builder and an investor. And I think more and more people are realizing how crypto can improve coordination and really facilitate when you're exchanging value, people start caring more. Otherwise, they don't care. They have attention span and they lose interest. But crypto, that's why speculation is so important and you're transacting value. So with DAOs, with everything, there's skin in the game. So the hope is that, ideas get discovered faster, founders from every background place get funded. And that's really exciting, right? Someone like you, or how many projects have you backed that you do care? You don't even look at a resume. You don't care if they have a 4-year education. It's like, show me your GitHub repo, show me what you built. And it is a very competitive market. It's open source. And the beauty of that is that, projects like Lido or others can really go on this escape velocity because money's moving at the speed of light from every corner of this world, and people are constantly looking at it. Yes, it's adversarial. There's exploits will be exploited, but over time, there's Lindy built in. There's resiliency, and that creates, I think, the backbone and infrastructure for kind of the value layer of the internet. And I don't know what that's going to look like. Like, no one could predict that Uber would come out of smartphones, but like, it's so hard to predict how technology is going to impact and the kind of applications. But I feel like more and more, like, you have this like fundamental belief and conviction that there's probably no better way to transact in a digital manner than through open, decentralized, distributed blockchains. And it's going to fit into so many of the things that we're seeing now. And that unlocks not only a lot of efficiencies in the current systems, but so many applications that we haven't even begun to imagine. We can't even imagine, surmise today. Maybe you can, I can't. But you're just going to be here, and hopefully you're going to catch the big ones, right? So I've said it, and just to round it out, but I've said it time and time again. I've felt that the best investors in crypto are founders or are very close, or like are building, are actively participating in these networks. And I think you're just the hallmark of what that means because you're doing both. And, I don't think there's luck that you've been able to find and back at the earliest of stages some of the leading projects time and time again over the many years you've been in the space. So big congrats to you. Any parting thoughts? I think this has been a great discussion. A lot of things we've covered, but I don't know if there's anything else you want to touch on before we leave.
Yeah, I mean, I think that I want just to tell you, like, or to tell everyone, like, who listens this podcast, like, that they should keep building, like, every day. And I think it's the biggest opportunity in their life, like, I mean, we also continue building. Let's build together, like, we also, like, actively investing, like, in all this intersection, blockchain, AI, other markets, like, and we're really happy to support founders, like, who are really, doesn't matter where they are, like, the important is that they want to build open source, like, healthy for humanity technologies, like, and they're that run by open market, and yeah, so really excited, like, what's happening. I think that we are, like, in a new, like, in a really good place, like, to drop your, like, like, if you're a student, drop university, like, if you are, like, a employee, like, you can drop your, like, work and start building, like, new ideas that will help us to build this cybernetic economy together.
Guys,
Amazing.
great place to end. Konstantin, appreciate your time, man. Congrats on everything, and excited to see what you do.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you.
Always a pleasure talking to you, Konstantin.
Hey everyone, Jason here. Thank you so much for watching today's episode. Wanted to take a quick second to thank today's title sponsor, Arbitrum. We know you are tired of on-chain experiences that have unaffordable fees and frustrating transaction speeds, and that's why we partnered with Arbitrum. You can experience frictionless trades, lightning speed, and lag-free transactions, all for pennies per transaction. Explore Arbitrum's expanding ecosystem at portal.arbitrum.io. That's portal.arbitrum.io. See you for the next episode.